Hey, it's the Jamie and Chris show, or Chris and Jamie, whatever the hell we want to call it today. And I'm here with Chris. I'm Jamie, and we're going to talk about what are we talking about?
Well, I just walked in, and about 5 minutes ago, I saw Jamie's cool new plane.
Yes.
And so this is a plane. His current one that he's had goes about 125 miles an hour.
About 100, 140, downhill
Depending on
160.
tailwind,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the new one goes like 300 miles.
No.
No?
Like 220 top in, just depends on, wind and all that. 220 knots.
Okay.
So, you're talking 250,
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty cool. You feel the difference?
Huh? Oh, you can feel a difference between the two for sure. Yeah. It's a gorgeous plane that I gotta go take some classes and figure out how to fly the thing, like everything,
So it's interesting. So like the control panel is different, even though your one plane is 1969 or something, right?
It's a 1969. This is a 2022.
And so, but all of the control panels have been updated on the 69 plane, right?
Yeah, and they're what's called, in aviation, they call them glass cockpits.
Okay.
So that one's glass, but it's a Garmin system that is not out of date. I mean, it's still it's better than what we call steam gauges, which was like where you see the old gauges, the circular gauges. There's usually what's called a 6-pack. But these are updated, and they, are just so much more pilot awareness in it, and the plane can somewhat fly itself, but you monitor it. And I mean, my old plane could fly itself. It didn't have like altitude adjustments and things like that. This plane, you pretty much enter in the coordinates and it flies you there. Of course, there's going to be deviations based on what air traffic controllers are telling you, and what your destination is and
So
what's going on.
Garmin
They're both planes have Garmin stuff. I'm kind of a Garmin guy. I mean, there's other ones.
all over the place, right?
Garmin kills it. When it comes to things, aviation, activities, I think,
Boating.
I think Garmin is...
They're on every boat almost too, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they can be that or Ray Marine or anything like that. But, and in boating, yeah. I mean, anything like that, I think Garmin is really the leader of that. And I actually think, I always thought Garmin stock would be great because, GPS is used in everything these days.
Because they've
revolutionized aviation.
I can imagine. I mean, you see them you see their equipment in all these different planes and boats, and they have watches. And
sure.
I remember I used to have a Garmin GPS,
right,
with the sandbag kind of like mount.
Yeah, I still have one of those somewhere around.
Right. It was like $1,300 or something, I think.
Right.
And then all of a sudden everyone was using their phones. I'm like, wow, this company may go out of business. But
wow.
They're far from that.
I kind of thought that too. When we were using those little GPS, I remember my wife and I going to Italy, and we bought the Garmin thing, and then we bought the Garmin.
And you downloaded the newest maps.
Garmin, the Garmin, Italy map, right?
Okay.
And then we would just go,
package,
destinations, right? And we'd put it in, and we'd go to that destination and go, oh, this is cool. Monks singing, But, and I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, wow, they're going to go out of business, right? Like the Better Mousetrap. Instead, Garmin is completely revolutionized a huge amount of industries, And I think I would think they got to be the biggest out there.
Right. I think so.
I mean, I buy Garmin watches. I buy, whatever. I personally think they're better than Apple watches, but
that's what I've heard. I've heard some pretty good reviews about their watches.
Yeah.
So, anyways, about your plane. So the instruments are quite a bit different from the other.
It's just basically two screens, and everything is all digital and. Yeah.
You got AI in that yet or not?
No, I don't think AI is coming to airplanes anytime soon. I wouldn't think.
AI
will replace the pilot.
I mean, you've got autopilot kind of stuff going already. So
right. It reminds me of the scene from Airplane where, they're trying to get the autopilot guy blown up, and she's blowing him up in a specific space that I shouldn't mention here on the show. But he's like blowing up, and it's going to be someday where we'll walk in and there'll be just two blow up guys sitting there,
right,
and AI will be flying it to Boston if you're going to Boston or whatever.
Humanoid robots,
right.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So when you do, and you have to do what, 10 hours on
it's not really an hour thing. Cirrus has their own classes for it. So you got to kind of go, and this is basically because of insurance, you got to go through and do the Garmin classes and, get proficient in this type of airplane, because every airplane is slightly different.
So you have to take an actual written test?
I don't know. I haven't quite got there, but I do have to get tested out by a Garmin certified instructor.
Okay. Which you probably do at your airport, I would guess.
Yeah, we actually have one here on field, and I've already lined up starting to train with her. Already about 30% of the book classes. I started them a few days ago. I'm 30% in.
So how long does this take? Like a month?
No, it takes, if you do it consistently, it's really 5 days, 5 8-hour days.
So you have to fly. I remember you telling me a long time ago that when you're doing your pilot training, that you have to go straight up and kill the engine and then drift down or whatever and then recover.
You do stalls and you do
stalls,
which isn't really going straight up. It's just taking the airplane and getting it to a point where the air gets roughed up coming over the wings, and then the airplane just starts to drop, and your recovery is what you want to do in that.
Okay.
Yeah, but this plane is not a good stall plane because they do like to go into spins and things like that. So there's a lot of training on that side where it's like, okay, what you're used to in this plane is not the tendencies of what this plane's going to do.
Because this one's smaller.
Right? Well, smaller, yes.
You had a pretty big plane.
Yeah, it's definitely smaller, and it will not carry as much baggage or people. But where I'm
But you don't want all those people with you anyways.
Right. Well, and the other thing of it is this plane is the safest plane on the market at this time, right?
Really?
It's got a ballistic parachute, which a lot of people are like, oh, you're a pilot and you need a parachute? Well, I tell you what, I'm getting older. I like my life. Of
It's a
course,
safety net, right?
I want the backup
So
now.
you can fly over Lake Michigan.
No, I still won't be flying over Lake Michigan,
Jamie does not want to fly over Lake Michigan
No.
in case it stalls.
Yeah,
but if you're going...
in case the engine dies,
So the
really.
lake is about 100 miles across.
Is it
give or take,
100?
obviously.
Yeah, okay.
At some points, maybe less than 90. Some
Yeah,
like
right.
110. But, once you're going up there, 240 or whatever, if the engine stalls, you never know. Maybe you could drift.
Yeah, well, glide is what they call that in aviation. But, drift would be a boat.
Right.
But yeah, you could glide, but and I know people who go up and go up and go up, and they'll go up to 20,000 feet, and then they'll try to use that philosophy of gliding across Lake Michigan
can make it if
there's a
something
problem,
bad
right?
goes.
But I'd much rather fly around.
Okay.
That's
a long way around.
Yeah, it's not that long. Not in a
It's
plane.
100 miles down, 100 miles up versus 100 miles across.
Yeah, no, we're not going across Lake Michigan,
At
Chris.
220 miles an hour, who cares?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, floor that.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyways, you want to go south if you're going that far.
Yeah,
anyways, right?
what? Lake Michigan is very cold, Chris, and I don't know if you know this, but
very icy right now.
you will freeze your ass off
Yeah.
in Lake Michigan.
No, that's very true. It's I've watched it over the last week.
Yeah.
And it's it's got a lot of ice cover.
Yeah.
And we're in the southern end of Lake Michigan. And so it's pretty, you see these chunks of, it's like slushy stuff waving around out there. There are no waves or anything. It's just too heavy and too thick out there.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and there's on the other side of the lake is St. Joe, Michigan, things like that. If you look up like the ice coming over their lighthouses.
Their lighthouse. I saw
they're
that on Fox
completely
Weather.
frozen
It's
over.
like a big.
It looks like
it's just
a
like a big, like,
there's got
massive
and
ice-
I guarantee there's going to be damage there. You know, it's kind of funny, and I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous show or not. And just talking about, like, we talk about AI all the time, right? I went down to see my parents. Did we talk about this before?
I don't think so.
Yeah, and we're sitting there, and my dad is like, and they're a little older, you know, they look at these things, and they look at AI, and they look at the creation, and it's hard to distinguish what reality is versus not reality, right? And my
It
dad's
used to
sitting
be
there.
easier when you get an AI image, but people had like 6 fingers. But
Right,
it's gotten
right.
a lot better. Over the
Oh,
last
it's
couple
getting a
years.
lot better. So my dad pulls up, and they live in St. Joe, Michigan, across the lake. And my dad pulls up the lighthouse. He's like, "Hey, have you seen the lighthouse, you know, in St. Joe?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't." He's like, he pulls it up on his iPad as he's sitting in his chair, and he's like, turns it around, and he goes, "Yeah, you know, look at the penguins." And I said, "Dad,"
Is he senile?
and I said, "Dad," and he's like, "Yeah, that's strange that there's penguins." And I go, "Dad, that'd be a long run for the penguins to get down there. I mean, have you ever seen their little feet like walking along? I mean, you know, of course they could swim, but I mean, coming from the Antarctic down to there is probably not going to go over,
That's
right?"
quite a push. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said, "Dad, that's, you know, this is the problem. You know, the reality is hard to separate now because, I mean, you get penguins in St. Joe, Michigan, right? You
Right.
know, and then so my wife thought it was funny, and I so when I got home, I'm like, and they're in Florida right now, they're nice warm climate, and I said, I did an AI image, and I took that same lighthouse, and I, you know, ice covered and everything, and I'm like, and I told AI to say, "Hey, what if elephants were in this thing?" So
You should have gone for the woolly mammoth.
yeah, oh, that would have been good, right? So I said, "Do one with elephants in the tower," and so I sent it to my parents, and I sent it by phone, and I'm like, "Hey, elephants are attacking St. Joe, Michigan." I'm like, "You guys should look at the news," and they thought that was kind of comical. And then my wife's like, "Do one with bulldogs because we have a bulldog," and I'm like, "Okay." So, and it's funny because these images are like, and I'll put it up on the screen, but these images are like the elephant has like a little bit of snow on them, you know, and they look like they're marching towards St. Joe, right? And then the bulldogs come in, and I send that one, and I send, you know, it's like the bulldogs are like somewhat icy, and I go, "Oh my God, Dad, you know, St. Joe, Michigan is having an attack of bulldogs, you know, you should be aware of this." And I sent it down. I'm thinking they're probably like, "Yeah, okay, enough, asshole," right? You know, like, we get it. We didn't understand it. Oh, my mom, I think, got it. But my dad was a little like, "Oh, that's a little hazy for you." But, you know, that's kind of what a lot of this stuff is doing. And we're talking about, like, trying to figure out what reality is now versus, and I think that's what this show is a little bit about. And sometimes we screw up, right? So it's like, where do we draw the line on what reality is, and telling people like, "Hey, you know, that may not be right. That might be an idiot move," right? You know, so now I guess we've got a couple crises going on in the U.S. with some deficits,
Some of the different cities, right?
Yeah.
Where they need a reality check.
Right. And I think some of this is like, you know, one guy tells you this and another guy tells you that. Hey, our deficit's not so, you know, so bad. I'm not worried about that, you know.
So I think, you know, in New York City with Mamdani, you know, last year, you know, I saw this video of Eric Adams. He was saying, you know, with our migrant problem that we have going on, this is going to ruin the city. We are looking at a $12 billion budget deficit because of all these expenses.
Sure.
And so, you know, the new guy comes in, the new socialist comes in, evidently pretends like, "Oh, I didn't know this. This is all because of his mismanagement, the previous guy."
Right.
But, you know, we're not going to let, you know, the previous failures ruin our vision for the future. So we need to do more,
Well, thank God
more
for that.
deficit spending, right?
Yeah, so instead of working against the deficit and trying to get it
Let's
down,
just add on it.
let's like tack on a couple of the extra $1 billion, right?
Which is crazy because, you know, usually you know, when you're investing tax dollars, you got to like figure out a way how to get money back out of it, right?
Right.
You know,
right.
you're not just going to say, "Well, we're going to take care of these folks, so we're going to make you pay more," because I always tell my kids, like, the good philosophy of government is you subsidize what you want to happen, you tax what you don't want to happen, and if you start taxing people who are making money, they'll go make money somewhere else.
Right.
Right.
So that's a good way of putting it,
right?
frankly. Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, there's going to be a change somewhere along that line, right?
right. Exactly. And that's just human nature, right? So it's so he's pushing to raise the corporate tax to 11.5%, which would match New Jersey,
Right.
and impose a flat 2% tax on incomes over $1 million annually. So I saw him. He's like, well, I was just talking to this really wealthy guy, and I said, well, you make $1 million.
What's
and
2%?
Yeah, that's only $20,000. Is that going to make you leave the city? And this guy said, no, I guess it wouldn't. But I think that it's funny because when he got elected, a lot of people were saying, oh, this is going to be huge for Florida. But the bottom line is that if you have an office in Midtown or a company that you're employed at, you're still going to need to go to Midtown Manhattan.
Right.
But you may go to New Jersey, but their taxes are horrible too.
Right.
Connecticut, you go to Connecticut, even Westchester County. And so, Long Island, you just go to these other places so you're not getting taxed at that point.
Sure.
And then maybe they have a strategy over time, like, because you can't just overnight say, well, I'm not going to pay this tax, so I'm just going to up and move my whole company, whatever.
Right.
It's obviously,
and that's going to take
it's
going to take a few years to work your way out of there, work your employees out.
And they say that, over the last 6 years or so, New York has lost like 500,000 residents and like $1 trillion of income, that these people have.
Well, that would cover $1 billion. This would cover the $1 billion.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. So anyways, I just, the numbers don't make sense, and he's got flowery language.
What I'd like to know is, I'm sure we can do the calculation on this, right? So what's the total revenue generated by these two taxes?
Right.
That would be like, does it cover, the $12 billion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
that we'll have to do and figure out. And
you have to calculate some of that. But the 11.5% corporate tax, that's a lot of taxes.
That is a lot of tax.
That's why people go to Tennessee and Texas and Florida, because they might as well go down there because the government
doesn't make it real company, friendly.
I saw this crazy leftist on YouTube saying, well, you just don't appreciate that. I think she was from California. She was like, you don't appreciate what California gave you. And it's like, you know what?
What did they give us?
You should appreciate what I've given California. I've hired all these people. I've created all these jobs. Right. It's like the whole Obama. You didn't build that mentality, right?
Well, how do you figure that Californians did anything? Right? I mean... And don't get me wrong, Californians, they're hosed all around out there. I mean...
Yeah, I didn't realize. I saw a tax rate. I'm on this Facebook group that is like California Exit or something. It's not... It's like people who are leaving leaving California. And they just posted this thing about if you calculate all the taxes from sales, the property, to all these other little taxes... Right. This is how it ranks out. And, California, New Jersey, New York, they were all up there in the top 5.
Well, and if I'm right, don't a lot of Californians move to other states and they take down the states kind of like Colorado?
They do, right?
And it's like they start instilling all these values that they thought were good, out in California, and they're like, oh, it's cheap here, and then all of a sudden they start levying, and
you see Illinois folks doing that.
Yeah,
you saw people move out of Boston into southern New Hampshire,
right?
And they turn it blue. They leave the crap that they created and just push for more of it in the new location.
Right.
It's it's insane. So anyways, back to New York City.
Yeah, New York.
So Governor Hochul, who's a piece of work herself, has repeatedly shut him down, saying we're not raising taxes in the state of New York. And she's not raising taxes for the sake of raising taxes, just to fund his dreams, right?
Sure.
And so he's got, Mamdani has to go through the state in order to get approved for tax increases, and so I don't think there's going to be the will there, so he's going to be kind of stuck. And so
right,
he's really off to a bad start because the Northeast, has had a really rough winter.
Right.
Between
I noticed
snow
a lot
and
of
cold
garbage
temps.
piled up in New York City right now
Right,
too.
like
You know?
16
Yeah.
homeless people have died because they weren't people are like, well, he should have had someone going out there to get them off the streets and get them into a warming house or whatever. And he was like, I want these people to live how they want to live or whatever, which is the lazy way out, obviously. So anyways, but yeah, I mean, my back deck in the Northeast, I haven't. Normally, we get like one snow a year and it melts the same day or whatever.
Sure.
Warmest part of New England. But I haven't seen my deck in, 3 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just been snow after snow after snow. And
Oh yeah.
so anyways.
Are you talking here in Wisconsin?
No, in Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts.
So anyways, but yeah, so I have a camera on the deck.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So anyways, despite the massive deficit, Mamdani says he won't scale back his campaign promises for expensive new programs. He literally said, "We will not allow the failures of the prior administration to dull the ambitions of our own." This is like flowery
So he's saying
language,
Eric Adams is to blame for all of this,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Flowery language to ignore reality, right?
Yeah.
So how are you going to do this?
Thank God he's such a savior.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's like the lightest resume, and he's running a city with a $116 billion annual budget.
Wow. Thank God. Yeah, and what's he, wow. And what has he run over his own personal
He was
finances?
like a state legislator for a little while. That's
Yeah.
about it.
It's funny because I always see these state legislators and, supervisors and things and it's like, and they can't even make it on their own salary. And, and then you put them in charge of this big number and they have no idea what they're doing. Right. And this is where I feel like this is going to go south quick, which we're going to see this over the next few years. I guarantee this guy fails.
It may shake your faith in government.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Jeez, I don't know how it could be shaken anymore. I have spent about 8 to 10 hours trying to get my last year's tax return back.
Right. Yeah. So how did that go? So the government owed you 5 figures.
Yeah.
And it took you 7 months to get it?
Oh, well, we're on... it was put in May, so what are we at now?
Okay.
7 months? Is that 7, 8 months?
Yeah, probably about 9 months. Yeah.
Well, and it kept saying that the tax return wasn't being processed. So finally, I call in, I get one guy. He's like, "Oh, I can't take it on myself. It's marked as an international return because
that's a different department."
Yeah, that's a different department, and he gives me a number, right?
After you sat on hold forever.
Yeah, after I sat on hold, and one time I sat on hold for 2 hours. And at 2 hours, it hung up on me, right?
That's the worst.
I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I'm like, no. You know how you get like, no, are you serious? 2 hours.
And you probably had to listen to some crappy hold music at it,
Oh,
too.
man. No, it just kept repeating, like, if you're looking for a 1040 blah, blah, S and, whatever.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, my God. No, I'm not looking for this. Just give me my answers.
I do like those systems, not to get off track. But
that call you back.
Yeah, the ones that say...
They actually, I got that one time, and it was the number that this guy gave me that ended up being tech support for 1040, whatever, filing a 1040.
So the wrong
number, right?
Okay.
The wrong department, right? And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I call this, I wait on there for an hour, and then actually that one wasn't so bad. I think it was 45 minutes. And I'm like, no way. And she's like, oh, I'm only here for tech support for this. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, well, you guys get... And I go, what's the number for the international? I don't know. Sorry. Can't help you.
Can't help you.
Yeah, click. So then I drove downtown, our town, and I went to the IRS office where they basically had to strip search me to get into the IRS office.
Yeah.
They looked at everything. They ran that. I'm surprised they didn't stick a scope up my ass or something like that. But, and then I had to open my bag and I get in and they're like, see the receptionist. And by the way, big waiting area, right? How many people you think were in that waiting area?
None?
0.
Really?
0. And I met a really nice guy. He was helpful to where it was worth it, right? And then he goes, well, I can schedule you for an online like whatever Zoom meeting call, right?
Okay.
So I'm
what
like,
are you doing down there then?
well, I know, but I couldn't schedule this on my own, right?
Okay, you had to go down in person to schedule.
Yeah, finally.
A remote.
Finally, I get to this guy, and he's like, I can schedule you a Zoom. He goes, there's nothing I can do if it's marked as an international return. I'm like, I don't know how it's marked as an international return. I have international income. I go, but the problem is, I guess it gets kicked over to the international when you do a amended return. So it ends up, I talk to this guy. He puts it in, and I see it sitting on his screen, and I'm like, have you submitted that? And he goes, yeah, I submitted it. And I'm like, okay. So then like 2 days later, a guy calls me back. And he says, hey, I'd like to set up your Zoom meeting or whatever. It's a Teams meeting, Microsoft Teams. And he said, I'd like to set up your Teams meeting. And I like explain it to him. And he's like, oh, okay, not a problem. But I can't do anything about it. I have to give you someone else. So then I get a call back. The lady was very nice. I have to say, I'm not at all saying that the IRS people weren't helpful, right?
It's the system.
It's the system. Yeah. It's the phone messages. It's the hanging up on you. And I get it. They're talking about, and most of them were like, well, we're understaffed, right? And I get being understaffed because we've all been understaffed at one point in our lives. But so I get to this lady. She's very helpful, and she's like, well, I've just kind of dealt with this in the last few weeks. And she goes, this is kind of, and she, of course, she's looking up, what to do at this point. Finally, she gives me the right number for international returns. I call that day. I finally get a hold of someone that day who, it was hard for me to understand what she was saying online, but she was like, I will get your refund coming to you. I'll work this return myself.
So did you get it?
Well, no, I haven't gotten this was just a day ago. This was yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday. I did
say allow like 20 to 30 weeks for processing.
She said 30 days. 30 days, right? So I'm like, I'm all right. I've already waited 7 months, 8 months, right? So finally,
but they pay you interest on this.
Oh yeah, wow! The whole 1% interest.
1% a month.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I don't even think it's that.
Oh, okay.
But it's a minuscule. The funny thing is, that's what one of them said to me. I go, I could make more money off that money than what you're going to give me in interest.
But then they'll say, don't forget to claim that interest on your taxes.
Right, yeah. They'll send you that little reminder.
1099.
Yeah. Oh,
INT
thanks.
Or something,
thanks,
right?
champ. Right? Where you could leave that in an account and then not have to pay interest on it until you sold it or whatever.
Right, right.
But yeah, it was clearly a government shortfall.
So you're on your way to resolution. Okay,
okay,
moving on.
Isn't that what they say about alcoholics too?
Yeah. It's the first step.
It's the first step, is
admitting
you have a problem, right?
They said we're understaffed.
Yeah, understaffed. I appreciate, you know what, and any IRS agents out there or whatever, I appreciate you guys.
So
don't audit me.
So here's another thing
kidding.
that may shake your faith in government.
Oh,
it's the city of Chicago.
Our neighbors.
They're looking at a $1.15 billion deficit.
It doesn't sound as bad as New York City.
Not as bad as New York City, but their budget is like 1/7 of New York City. So Chicago is like 1/3 the size. Chicago proper is about 1/3 the size of New York proper, but their budget is like 1/7.
I'm saying Brandon Johnson must be doing a good job.
So wrong. Chicago faced a $1.15 billion budget gap for 2026. Mayor Brandon Johnson initially wanted to hit wealthy residents. It's a kind of a theme with all these socialists.
Hit all those wealthy guys and girls.
Wealthy residents and corporations with new taxes, but the city council rejected most of his plans. I mean, at this point, so many people have left Chicago. I think like 50% of their office space is empty right now.
Oh, is that really what's going on?
Yeah, it's like just but after COVID, and then with the one lady, Lori, whatever her name
Lightfoot.
is. Lightfoot.
Yeah, Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. Yeah. I mean, just like Citadel. The wealthiest guy in Chicago with this successful company, they refused to respond to his concerns about safety. It was like, My employees were getting mugged on the way to work. All you want to do is tax me. So I'm out of here. He moves to Florida, and I think he's got
Who's that?
his name is Ken Griffin.
Oh,
And he was the wealthiest guy in Illinois.
the
And he's just
estimate
up and
on
up.
that empty office space in Chicago, 26.6 to 28%.
So I thought I heard of 50%, but that's obviously over a quarter of the office
Downtown.
space.
That's just downtown. Okay, so yeah.
So
But-
yeah, there are a lot of cities dealing with numbers like that. Not quite high.
Yeah, but you think about it, that's a
but they
lot of
say
office
Michigan,
space.
Michigan Street. I mean, that was like the Magnificent Mile. It was
Yeah.
like not what it used to be. Chicago. Used to be such a cool place to go to.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. We actually went there this weekend. We went down to the car show, which,
How'd you like it?
by the way, don't go to the car show ever again in Chicago, which I
Really?
think I said to myself 2 years ago when I
Yeah.
went down there,
Uh-huh.
because no one shows up. It used to be like in McCormick Place that it was like, it was 2 sections of McCormick Place, and it was every car, it was like Porsche, and you could see like concept cars. And I have to tell you, what a drag this place was.
Really?
I'd have gotten a better car show here in Milwaukee.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and we went to the Billy Goat. You know what the Billy Goat is?
I don't know what the Billy Goat
The Billy Goat, no Pepsi Coke.
Okay. Okay.
From Saturday Night Live all those years ago.
Okay. I
Yeah.
do kind of vaguely remember that.
No,
yeah.
no Pepsi Coke.
Uh-huh.
And
It's
it's
like a
like
Dan Aykroyd
hamburger,
thing or something.
hamburger.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger,
Yeah, okay.
cheeseburger. Yeah.
It's coming back. Yeah.
And it's funny, even on the sign it says burger. Burger. Yep, which is classic. But they got great Polish sausage, So we stopped there and had that. One of the guys that came with me loves that place, so we went down there, and it was right by that downtown. What is the shopping?
Yeah,
road?
magnificent.
Yeah, the mile, right?
Yeah,
it's right under it. It's
Michigan
basically
Street or
under it
whatever.
in the labyrinth of Chicago.
Right.
But it's like I don't think much is left there.
There's not. It's crazy how it. Obviously the whole like brick and mortar of shopping experience isn't what it used to be.
Right.
But that was kind of like the destination. It's like people from Wisconsin would jump on the Amtrak, go shopping for a day or whatever.
Right.
Or like, party animals, would go down and say, let's go down to party in Chicago for the night.
I used to have a place down
used
there.
to have a place down there, and it's good that
Ran the Chicago
yeah.
Marathon, ran
Right?
it with you, yeah.
And so and people, I talk to some people and they're like, yeah, they want to start taxing, have a mansion tax, when you sell your property. So if it's over, $1 million or $2 million or whatever, they're going to hit you up with
because
extra
today
taxes.
a mansion is $1 million.
Yeah, right.
My ass. Have you
Right?
looked at what houses you can get for $1 million? Don't get me wrong, they're
Right.
nice. But it's like,
But so right, it's I know. So the definition of a mansion is obviously different.
yeah, I'd like to know what
The,
that definition is.
But I remember, you had your place down there, and I remember thinking, that'd be really cool to have a place down there. And I've seen like, maybe like a mill rate of about $10 per thousand or something. But I think it's way more now. They're like rated like fifth highest in the country or something or more.
Well,
so.
and the reason why I got out of there was the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it went from, I think I was paying $3,000. By the time I left, I was paying $8,000.
Wow.
And I had the place maybe 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Sick,
so right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's like you're doubling, and and it was like even going down there, you weren't safe. Like I had a Wisconsin license plate, and I never put the plate in front of it, right? And it was like you could do everything right, and they'll still find another reason why to ticket you or why to And it's funny, and I'm sure we're gonna get to that here, but it was there's like red light violation tickets that I got that I never paid. And,
right.
and it was.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, that was like I had one guy
When
call
you're
me.
out of state, right?
Yeah, I'm like, well, come get me, and
right.
he was like, he was bitching at me, and I'm like, I don't know, come lock me up,
What are you
man,
gonna do,
you got
take away
me.
my
I'm a
registration?
hardened criminal,
Uh-huh.
But come to find out, they really can't do anything about those.
Right, that's like one of the things. I mean, they used to, like when they would, a lot of times, like in the old days when people get pulled over, they're like, well, you got to pay this now because once you leave, we have
Because you're right, there's no way. I mean,
have
you're
no
gonna run
control
and
over it. You know,
Yeah,
so
I got one year for not having the front license plate on my car,
really,
even though
that's a law in Illinois.
well, and no, because I don't think they have front license plates, but they nailed, or wait, no, they do have front license plates, but they nailed a Wisconsin, which, how am I breaking the law in your state? I'm breaking the law in Wisconsin.
Right.
I'm not, I don't know, maybe one of you attorneys can tell me
It's not like
better.
it's not like you're transferring your registration to the state of Illinois.
Right, right.
So it's just like, I mean, they could be hitting everyone from all over the place.
Sure.
So,
I mean, I can't tell you how many times my cars got broken into, the condo got broken into. I mean,
that's sick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible. There's no
like,
quality of life in
at
that.
a certain point, you had to stamp it as kind of a loss. And I remember because the
So
store.
you kind of broke even, right? Didn't you break even?
Yeah, I made maybe $10,000 or something. It was
Pretty
so
small
minute,
percentage-wise, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but
So the council, the city council, approved a $16.6 billion budget with $473 million in new taxes, which I remember like seeing a story actually a few months ago where all these people, people down in the south side of Chicago with like not so expensive homes,
sure,
were just seeing massive tax increases.
Yeah.
So, homeowners, so I looked it up, homeowners just got hit with huge tax increases. Johnson broke his campaign promise and raised property taxes by $300 million in 2025. So they raised about a 4% increase for homeowners. For 2026, there's a smaller $9.1 million increase for library.
Here's the thing, right? And I've watched a lot of stuff on this, and again, my wife used to go to school with Brandon Johnson, who did not go to a downtown school like he says he did. He went to a parochial school out in.
Was he a Catholic?
Outside. I don't know. Yeah, but he's hurting the very people who he says he's protecting.
Right, because if you run off the
these are the people who can't make their payments and can't maybe make another 4% increase in their property tax. So it's like eventually you're gonna eat crow. I mean, he's got a 7% approval rating.
Yeah, it's way low.
So he's really not gonna get elected. I mean, I have to tell you, when he came into office, I was like, oh, thank God they got rid of Lightfoot. And I have to go, it can't get any worse than her, right? And then here you go, oh my God, it can get worse, right?
I know. Lightfoot, in the meanwhile, gets a job at like Harvard or something.
It's Jesus.
Can you imagine that?
My God. Well, that just goes.
I wouldn't sign up for that section.
Well, who the hell wants to go to Harvard anymore, frankly?
Every time you hear something about Harvard, it's
Harvard or Yale. You can suck an egg.
So anyways, here's some of the new taxes that the council, even though they're like trying to keep Johnson in check, but some of these new taxes are insane that they're putting out. So they have a new social responsibility tax, which taxes
Thank
50
God I'm
cents
socially responsible
per user for over 100,000 users in social media like TikTok,
How are
Facebook,
they going to regulate
Instagram.
that? Is it per social media platform?
So, yeah, it targets large platforms like Meta, Facebook, Instagram.
Who's paying
X,
that?
TikTok. The tax rate of 50 cents per Chicago consumer per calendar month, but only for consumers in excess of 100,000 in that month. So they're going to have
$100,000 in income?
100,000 users per month. So the first 100,000 basically started from the first of each month are tax-free, but any additional user that comes in after that, and so this is a city of 2.7 million. 2.7 million.
Okay.
That so you are paying. They're going to tax them 50 cents for each user above 100,000 each month. So if you have like 50,000 users, that's like 25,000.
Who's paying this?
What
bill?
if you have? I mean, we're talking about 2.7 million people. What if you have a million? If you have a million users, they're going to expect Facebook or whatever to pay $500,000 to the state or to the city of Chicago.
Well, and in all reality,
they have to file a return.
When you're 1.15 billion in the hole, what's 500,000?
Well, I know, but like this is monthly. and this is like
this
bunch
is
of
monthly.
them. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But that's just one of their
So is
revenue
the
streams.
platform itself pays?
So yeah.
And
The
then
company,
what's
like
defined as a
Xpace or whatever.
user? Because
So
I can be a
I would
user
say
in the
unique
city.
user for the specific month. So they'll have to track, I guess, IPs for the city of Chicago, and like the actual users, or maybe
Good freaking
the
luck.
users identified with whatever city they're.
Good luck. How are you ever going to track that?
I know it seems like very hard. I mean, they really, like the way it's written, I think it includes websites and everything, but not many people are getting 100,000 users from Chicago.
Right.
So I don't know. I would just, you know what? I'd probably just.
And how are they going to
blacklist
track it back
the
to the
city of
user?
Chicago Connections say, sorry, you can't participate.
Well,
So
and what's
they should start cutting them off. Let them know what their government is doing. Oh, you're 100,001. You can't.
So switch your VPN.
Yeah. Right.
Right. I'll just use a
I'm
VPN.
coming from it's funny because I do use a Chicago IP occasionally with my VPN.
Well, now you better
I
not
guess
because you're going to get charged 50 cents.
I'll have to go back to my overseas ones, I guess.
Yeah, right.
So
Nigeria.
they say that the purpose of the tax is to revenue funds for mental and behavioral health programs.
Good luck.
Start
with your mayor.
Programs, right?
Start with your mayor. He needs mental and behavioral adjustments.
So here's another thing. They're raising the cloud software services tax. So they already have one, like software as a service, basically.
Okay.
Is what it's called. And so there's a sales tax. So if you like pay for like Google Cloud or some of these other services, cloud services, that company has to pay a city tax if you're in the city of Chicago. So it's
Well, I can tell you, when I got audited once by the state, it was amazing to me what I didn't know I had to pay tax on.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine. It's
one
like,
of them was
how do you keep
cloud
track of all this
services
stuff?
and things.
You're in you're in San Francisco, you're wherever, Florida, and it's like you're supposed to know all these little tax rules because people are using your online services.
Sure.
So here's another one. So expanding rideshare congestion surcharges.
Which I think New York City kind of does that.
So if you want to catch an Uber during rush hour or whatever,
You're going to pay a tax.
There's going to be an extra tax. Increasing bag fees from 10 to 15 cents.
Thank
God.
God.
Guess if you go to the local Jewel or whatever, and you get a bag, they charge you tax.
Bring your own bags,
Right?
Chris.
Yeah. So anyways, so it's funny that you see these politicians just throwing these numbers out like they're anxious to like hit everyone that they can for money, but they never talk about getting budgets under control, right?
Right.
So
whatever happened about cutting things, right?
Right, exactly.
Like, hey, we're going to have to cut this. We're going to have to cut this out of the budget.
Times are tough, right?
Right. Times
Because
are tough.
Johnson, in his own life, exemplifies this reckless kind of behavior. Johnson, like when he was running for mayor, he came out, oh, you owe $6,600 in water bills and fines and penalties going back to 2010. And he was like, well, I'm on a payment plan. A lot of people have to go on payment plans. He had a job. He was like the city commissioner or something.
$175,000 a year.
He was making $175,000
and you can't pay your water bill.
He wouldn't pay his bill, right?
Bullshit.
So it's like he had over $1,000 in unpaid traffic tickets.
Yeah.
And he had over $520 in parking tickets. So it's just like, pay your bills. It's like Obama, it's like, that got swept under the rug. He had like, I don't know, at least $1,000 in unpaid parking tickets in Boston from when he went to school there. Kind of like what we were just talking. You move out of state. What are you going to do? You can't take away my registration, right? So, but yeah, so this guy, especially his comment, like, well, a lot of people go on payment plans for their things in life. And so
I should have to go on a payment plan because of my parking offenses, right?
Right.
I'm sorry. It's just
so he came
ridiculous.
He came up with this crazy harebrained idea to like
imagine that
to plug this hole, plug this gap. He was proposing getting $830 million in a bond. So he was saying, okay, we're going to issue bonds of $830 million to help plug the budget deficit.
Sure.
But the problem is, he said, okay, the first 2 years, we're going to get an extra loan to pay just the interest on this new loan.
Wonderful.
So we're gonna get a loan to pay the interest, and we're gonna set this up so there are interest only payments until 2045. So for the next 20 years, we don't pay any principal. We just pay interest, and we're also going to take out a loan to cover the first 2 years of interest. Talk about kicking the can. This is the problem with all of these tax and spend politicians. You're just sticking it on the next generation. I'm out. At least I get to, I get to keep my office. I get to have my job, but screw the next generation.
Yeah, right. So you basically your kids are going to be paying for it.
Right.
And it's like, does this thing get passed?
You know what? You know how it ends up? It passed. The city council actually passed this barely only after Johnson cast the tie-breaking.
And it's going to cost those residents $2 billion for $830 million borrowed.
And I bet this shakes out like so many times. They sit there, they screw the whole community up.
Sure.
And then they go to the federal government. We need a bailout. We need a bailout. You can just see it. It's
this is like, what is it? The teachers fund down there, and firefighters. I think finally got a contract after X amount of time. And it's like,
it's
makes
funny.
No sense.
So I looked into down in downtown Chicago, and this was done under Mayor Daley, I think.
Sure.
They sold a bunch of the downtown parking.
Yep.
To a private company.
Yep.
And the Chicago Skyway.
Yep.
Which I recently used, and it was $8.10 just to use the road.
That's owned by China.
So
so you know.
I looked it up once. I thought it was owned by a company, unless it was taken over the last couple of years. But at one point, I thought it was funding like some Canadian teachers union and Australian teachers union, or maybe at one time it was. But then
I think it's owned by China.
Maybe China bought them out.
I think the parking part, and we'll have to look this up, but I'm pretty sure it's all Chinese invested now.
It's the only.
What always gets me.
Is the only private toll road in
right,
America,
and it's complete shit. It's complete shit. At least it was the last time I went on it. They put no money into it. It's basically pothole central. But I'm pretty sure it's all Chinese owned, which it gets me. And I guess they were trying to buy the parking back. Just lately.
Oh, they were.
I'll have to find that out.
That would be a big price.
Yeah. Well, they can't afford it. They can't afford it.
And that's the thing. It's like
but they have to manage it, and they have to ticket it, and they have to all these things.
And this is what scares me about Trump having the federal government like taking equity in different companies and stuff.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, it works great under Trump because his motives, but once you get some of these goofy assholes who start saying, well, you know what, we are part equity, and if you want to keep, as a part owner, I think we should have, start pushing agendas.
Right.
It's like we should make make sure this company hires this many people to do this and has this kind of emissions or whatever, because now we're in partial control of this. It's like, I mean, look.
There's no way that can go well,
right?
With investing in companies. No,
I know it's like.
I mean, you might as well be socialists at that point,
right?
And I always and excuse me if I'm wrong. You guys can comment on this. I don't care. I always thought it was ridiculous that we bailed out car companies.
Yeah,
well,
especially wasn't it Chevrolet? They took the bailouts and they screwed their shareholders, and then as soon as they got the opportunity. They moved a bunch of production overseas.
Well, yeah, and it's like General Motors, right? I kind of wanted, and how many times has General Motors really been bankrupt?
Right.
And we keep bailing them out, and we keep giving it. I'm sorry, General Motors people, but in some ways, it has to fail to be reconstructed again.
Right.
Because someone's going to buy up the trucking division. Someone's going to buy up. I mean, there's always going to be someone that's going to change things to work more favorably, right?
Right.
So it's like we just have to look at these things and readjust at that point. But that's what always got me about I always call it government motors, but yeah.
Getting back to Chicago?
Chicago.
So the state comptroller, Susana Mendoza,
I'm sure
called this borrowing plan tone deaf since it came right after the S&P downgraded Chicago's credit rating to a triple B, which is 2 notches above junk. So there you have it.
You know,
right?
a B's not bad. I always liked to be in college, you know?
So yeah. So
I didn't get many of them, though, I can tell you that.
And, maybe Chicago needs to go after some of its uncollected bills. You know, so a lot of these politicians are also great at saying, oh, you know what, we're just gonna wipe out all those bills and give you a fresh start. Chicago is owed $8.2 billion in unpaid fines, fees, and bills dating back to the 1990s.
I might be in that.
Maybe you're in there, right? Yeah. Including $810 million in unpaid water bills.
Yeah. This is what gets me. This one's the funny one.
Johnson's own city employees owed over $23.5 million to the city.
His own employees own $23 million to the city.
Right? Yeah.
You can't write this. You can't make this shit up, folks.
I'm really losing my faith here. And then let's go to Boston.
We're going to Boston.
Which hurts, It's so Michelle Wu, who's the mayor, she's been a shit show.
She is a shit show.
There used to be Tom Menino in Boston, and it was he leaned left and everything, and he was just kind of a comical character, and things were like much more pleasant then. And I tell you, you go down to like the Boston Commons and stuff. Sure. It's a shit show, and it used to be this beautiful like environment to take your kids to. I'm sure you took your kids there before. And
yeah.
Boston's commercial real estate values have cratered post-pandemic, down 6% in 2025 alone, and down 5% in 2024, while residential values keep rising, up 2% to 2025. This shifts the tax burden from businesses to homeowners. So a lot of businesses are left. Like a lot of the COVID stuff. You do have these companies going in, repurposing commercial buildings.
Sure, making them residential.
To residential. Michelle Wu actually took like an empty state building, I think, and even put some illegal aliens in it at one point. So she was kind of jumping on that bandwagon. But the average single-family homeowners are seeing property taxes jump 13%.
Wow.
In 2026.
We thought that was bad with Chicago, but 13% over 4, that's a hell of a jump.
And this is. And, Boston's taxes weren't that bad, but that's like another thing. It's about $10 per thousand.
Don't they call it Taxachusetts?
But I've seen, they call it Taxachusetts because there are a lot of other taxes going on. And I've seen property taxes increase in my area, which is normally very conservative tax-wise. Commercial properties are seeing a 4.4% decrease in taxes because of the saving the typical office building is about $210,000. So they have to make it up on the residents. Once again, they can't look at controlling the budget. They say, well, we can't go down on the money, so we got to hit them up further.
Right. They got to have somewhere where it's like a crack addict.
And she blames the state because of the way the assessments are supposed to be done equally, like throughout, to give people equal coverage, basically, under the law. She wants a change that would cap the residential increases to 9% instead of 13%. But the city council and the state House have passed it 3 times, but one senator keeps blocking it in the Senate. So,
Nick Collins, keep going,
right,
buddy.
Keep spending. Anyways, the critics say Wu's approach of converting empty office spaces to housing and recruiting businesses hasn't worked fast enough. I mean, there's definitely a demand in Boston. That is one of the things, because traffic sucks. There are a lot of old roads. Everything's very dense.
I never know which way to go.
You can spend an hour and just go like a mile on the expressway.
It's awful.
Sometimes. Boston depends on property taxes for 70% of its $4.6 billion budget. So that's a pretty big budget, because Boston proper is like 500,000 or something. It's not, it's a big metropolitan area. But the Boston proper itself is pretty small.
Sure.
So the So, anyways, yeah, that's just more problems. I would never buy a property inside the city of Boston. That's for sure. So, I mean, for most of those places around Boston these days, they've just gotten very wacky. And
Yeah, the vacancy rate, just because we did it with the last one, the vacancy rate in Boston, Massachusetts right now is 20 to 25%, so almost the same as Chicago.
Right. A lot of it's student housing too, so you get a lot of students that suck up a lot of housing.
Sure.
And so, with all the schools. So anyways, moving across the country to Los Angeles.
Yeah, this place was on fire not too long ago.
So now Trump is talking about the federal government can supersede the local regulations, because Trump, like right when the fires happened, when he went there, he's like, you guys have too many regulations. You guys don't get enough done. And they were like, oh, we're going to get it done. And we're going to be on top of this. And, it's still, a lot. There's still a lot of problems. The 2025 Palisades and Eaton fires killed 31 people and destroyed 13,000 homes. 1 year later, fewer than a dozen homes have been fully rebuilt. About 2,600 permits have been issued. And
one for every 5 homes.
Yep. And 900 homes are under construction. Progress on rebuilding has been slowed due to state local regulations, permitting backlogs, environmental reviews, bureaucratic hurdles, leaving many displaced over a year later despite federal aid. So, yeah.
I thought they said that they were going to clear, they were going to make this top priority, right?
They're going to streamline the process.
Streamline the process, Newsom.
More bullshit from the same politicians, right?
Right.
So, in 2026, in January this year, Trump signed an executive order to have the federal agencies take over the permitting process, allowing builders to self-certify compliance with building codes rather than navigate the local bureaucracies. The goal is to bypass overly burdensome, confusing, and inconsistent permitting requirements. So, good for him. It's not all regulations, but that's obviously a big part.
Well, and it does say, most say that it's not the regulations that's killing them. And Newsom's blaming Trump basically as a clueless idiot.
Yeah, because he says, he's not giving us the money, but they've already given him $3 billion.
Hazardous mitigation. Yep.
Right.
And it's what scares me about this is where does this money go?
Right.
Especially since we've found so much fraud out there, and
then people were complaining about there's that fundraising concert. Remember that?
Yep.
They raised all that money, and
they don't know where them funds went.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's like it didn't go to the homeowners.
Yeah,
evidently. So it's like people were like, "Well, it went to all these organizations."
Yeah.
Then these organizations with their own agendas.
We're finding that to be across the board. It's like these guys need to be regulated.
And I think I heard that the Palisades, so Los Angeles, some of the Los Angeles politicians are pushing for affordable housing in the Palisades.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they, Chris?
Yeah, right?
Why wouldn't they?
It's like, let's embrace this, people. They'd probably get that up in 6 months.
Yeah, right. Isn't that like what the Karate Kid lived in the,
What's that?
He lived in the, lower end, housing and right in the rich area, right?
Right. Yeah. So
I don't know why I brought up the Karate Kid, but
moving on from governmental crap shows, there have been some really interesting politicians in the news who have gotten in trouble. Yeah,
these are pretty entertaining, actually.
And bold, stupid and bold.
Yeah.
So it's here's one in Oklahoma. Representative Ajay Pittman. So her mom was a legislator, and then she became a legislator. So on January 28th this year, Pittman pleaded guilty to 3 felony charges: conspiracy to commit a felony, forgery, and second degree, and forgery in the second degree, and violating the Oklahoma Computer Crimes Act. So in 2020 and 2022, Pittman was investigated for misusing $18,000 in campaign funds for personal expenses like credit card payments and ATM withdrawals. She also improperly reported $50,000 in campaign expenditures. So she's saying that obviously that some of these things were campaign expenditures.
Sure, right.
In 2024, she settled with the Oklahoma Ethics Commission, agreeing to pay nearly $18,000 restitution and over $17,000 in fines, which total about $35,000.
So she stole 50,000, but has to pay the fines of less than that.
Well, she stole at least 18,000, and but then she improperly reported the 50,000.
Right. So some of that's hokey.
So maybe it's more than 18,000.
Right.
Obviously. So so she's making these payments on this $18,000 and the $17,000. And
this is what gets me. This is what cracks me up.
Right? This is bold.
Hold up. This is gonna be shocking for you guys all.
Right.
Let's go back. What was her charges, Chris? Her charges were
felony.
So
3 felonies: conspiracy to commit a
forgery, right? Yeah.
Right.
And second degree violating the Oklahoma Computer Crimes Act.
Because she's using a computer.
So this intelligent idiot.
Right. This is a person who was given the ability to make laws for the good people of Oklahoma.
And thank God she's leading you guys in Oklahoma.
Right. Yeah. So when the deadline came to make a $2,500 payment, she forged a fake cashier's check and submitted to the ethics committee.
Where do you think the money is going to come from?
That's
that's
comes out of a big pool like AOC said. Well, it just comes out. You just print more.
Right. You know what gets me is I know I'm not out of money. I have enough I have enough checks in the checkbook.
She never had an accounting class.
Right.
I guess, right?
It's like, hey, idiot.
So it's like she thinks that she can make fake checks.
Yeah.
And the bank's not going to notice her, right?
Hey, I'm going to write you a check for $1 billion today,
She conspired with her legislative assistant, asking her to help create the fake check.
And how dumb is this assistant?
Bank documents, right?
How dumb is the assistant?
These are people voting on laws. Text messages show that Pittman gave her assistant detailed instructions on how to forge a check and black out the information on bank statements. So it's just this is low technology crap.
She's a bottom feeder at best.
Man, this is so the cover-up gets worse. In a separate incident, Pittman claimed the campaign records were destroyed in a flood at her office.
Oh shoot.
You can't, so not the dog ate my homework. It's, we got hit by a flood. Investigators discovered the flood claim letter was created on her mother's computer, who was the legislator before her. The same day,
mom's involved.
Right?
Let's go back on mom and see how mom did this.
The same day that the letter was sent. Metadata proved it was fake. Her mother is a former state
Anastasia
senator.
Pittman.
And so the sentence is this sucks right here. 7-year deferred sentence, resignation from office, which is good. Full restitution to be paid to a charitable organization.
Good luck. It won't ever be paid.
She avoided jail time. And obviously her political career is probably ended.
No.
Hopefully
they'll vote her back in.
You still see some of these.
This always gets me about what is the guy in Chicago that kept getting voted in year after year.
Wasn't Jesse Jackson
Jesse
Jr.?
Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
Even though he was in jail, they were still electing him. I mean, that's just freaking stupid.
She was, so the irony of it all was that she was trying to forge a check to avoid paying back money she already stolen from her campaign, which was supposed to pay in ethics for a previous violation.
Yeah, right. So, what an idiot.
Then I saw this other thing. 3 Georgia lawmakers are busted with pandemic unemployment fraud. So these are more state representatives.
Yep.
All three Democratic state representatives fraudulently collected unemployment benefits during COVID-19 while serving as paid legislators and earning other income. So this first one, a Valdosta Democrat, was charged on January 3rd this year, applied for unemployment from April 2020 through May 2021, claimed he only worked for Dexter Sharper Party Rental and hadn't worked since March 13th, 2020. He made 38 weekly certifications, claiming he had no income and was actively seeking work. The reality was that he was earning money from 2 to 3 jobs every week, at least $325 a week, from the Georgia General Assembly as a state representative. How do these people not say, wait, this guy's in the state assembly making money? And it's like, he can't be filing for unemployment comp.
Right.
He had $2,200 a week from his party rental business and $275 a week as a musician.
He's a musician, Chris.
So,
come on.
Insane.
So total stolen $13,825.
So his charges were making false statements to obtain funds administered by the U.S. Department of Labor.
Wonderful.
While many of his constituents and fellow citizens were losing jobs, this is a quote from the U.S. Attorney, while they were losing jobs and desperately needed unemployment assistance during the pandemic, Representative Sharper allegedly pretended to be out of work to collect a share of the unemployment benefits for himself.
Why wouldn't he,
These
Chris?
people are really for the people, right? Drain that trough dry. So here's another one. A Covington Democrat in Georgia, federally indicted December 2nd of last year, suspended from office by Governor Kemp. The fraud: 2 counts of theft of government funds, 10 counts of making false statements, total stolen $17,811. And the current status is that she's free on bail, awaiting trial, but she'll probably be able to plead poverty and get a public defender.
Have to donate it to some charity or, great.
And another one from the Stone Mountain area. I think I think this is north of Atlanta. I think I've been over here. There was some mountain I climbed up north of Atlanta.
Maybe it was Stone Mountain.
So this person resigned on January 1st, just before the charges came, and pleaded guilty on January 21st. She made false statements to collect just under $14,000 in pandemic unemployment benefits. She was charged with 1 count of making false statements. The U.S. Attorney warned in December that there was a growing wave of charges against Georgia lawmakers, suggesting more cases may be coming. All these people, they're always on TV. You want to hurt the little guy. You want to hurt the poor. You don't care about the poor. And they just grab as much money as they can when they get the first opportunity.
Yeah, they're
And then they're back to Boston.
They're repulsive.
There was this one lady who was on the Boston City Council. She was a piece of work. I've seen video on this. She made history in 2021, being the first African immigrant and first Muslim American elected to the Boston City Council, representing Roxbury, Dorchester, Fenway, and part of the South End. So on December 6th of 24, she was arrested on federal charges. She was initial plea not guilty on 5 counts of wire fraud and 1 count of theft. She did a guilty plea to 1 count of wire fraud and 1 count of theft concerning programs receiving federal funds.
And the 4 other counts were dismissed.
Grabbing the money. So November 20, so here's a kickback scheme. November 22, she hired a relative. A staff member, not immediate hired a relative to her staff, lying to the city in an email that they weren't related. In May of 23, she faced personal financial difficulties, including a $5,000 ethics fine for previously hiring her sister and son in violation of conflict of interest laws.
Told a staff member she'd give a large bonus if they do a kickback portion to her. Such a nice lady. I'm going to give you a large bonus, but you're going to kick some of that back to my pocket.
You bring it back to Mama.
Mama needs her money.
So May of 23, she directed the city to pay staff member A $13,000 bonus, more than double the combined bonuses of all her other staff. So, yes, I'm sure there's a kickback in it. The handoff. Staff member A deposited a check on May 26, 23, withdrew money in several transactions, then met with the councilwoman
'Cause
in a
there's
city hall bathroom
So there's no cameras.
where they handed her $7,000 in cash.
Boy.
And the purpose, she used the $7,000 to help pay her $5,000
Oh my God.
from previous problems. Yeah, this is horrible. It's
But
like
she
you
got
see
the
all these
pocket
people.
$2,000 of it,
Yeah, right. I guess
This is
I don't know.
great. She had a good dinner, wine, dine,
I don't know if she has to pay the other $2,000 back to a charity or something, but yeah, it's and hardly any of. Oh, here's the thing, she got 1 month in prison.
Oh.
There are people saying, well, she did go to jail for 1 month, 3 years supervised release. Oh, $13,000 restitution, and so it's she resigned.
But she did also file fraudulent tax
Right.
returns.
Yeah.
She omitted income from them.
This is good.
And
in court,
yeah.
she tearfully asked for forgiveness from God, family, and constituents.
Oh.
She said, yeah.
She's a good lady.
Right?
You know?
Then she blamed it on because she was black that she was being targeted. So, not that she stole.
No, not that you're a criminal.
Right? So these people think, I swear, they just think that they can abuse the process. People won't pay attention. So, but it's just like there was a case from a guy who lived less than a mile from your house. Right?
Yeah, just lately, just today, we found that he embezzled from WIC?
Yeah, like the
WIC or
EBT stuff.
EBT, yeah.
Which is a common scam. People sell their EBT
So
cards.
he's buying the EBT cards for half as much as what they were, and he's pocketed about $1.6 million.
He's got a convenience store.
Convenience store.
He gives people probably, a lot of times I think it's about 50% of the price, gives them 50%. They get to take the cash and do whatever
and
they
he
want
got
with
to
it.
buy some nice cars and some vacations.
He turns it into the state for full reimbursement.
Right. It's scumbags like this, but they're out there helping.
They're out helping the poor and the needy, right?
No, this isn't helping themselves, right?
Yeah, in the meantime, they talk about food deserts and everything, and look at the crap that goes on.
Yeah.
It's there's no accountability. These people don't end up doing jail time.
No, and it's really sad that people want to take advantage of stuff like this.
Right. Exactly.
And it's like here you try to help, and we're finding out that there's a lot of scams, and I think over the next couple of years we're going to find out that there's a whole lot of money in this government that's been stolen.
Right. So, anyways, not to end on a negative note.
Yeah, but, let's end on a high note.
This is just kind of a warning. Like, don't be foolish. Don't be an idiot.
Don't be an idiot.
And listen to the politicians, because most of them, I think they're full of it.
Government is not your friend.
Right. The people, it's just like I was talking to someone yesterday, and, we were talking about, when we were students, we would fight all these crazy people in student government all the time. And it's like those crazy people get on like the student governments, then they run for office after they get out of college. And it's because they like government. Then they see the other people who are working successfully in the private market, and then they get jealous, and then they start saying, well, I need to give me a piece of the pie. And obviously, so it's just like, a lot of people who are out there working honestly and just want to be a part of the private sector, they don't want anything to do with government.
Right.
It's like those who want power the most really should deserve it the least, because they just want power for the sake of power. They're not out there trying to say, I'm going to reform things. Look what happened with Elon Musk coming in. I'm going to cut government. I'm going to clean things up.
And all of a sudden that was a problem, right?
I know,
it's
right?
like, how is this a bad thing? How can you guys even turn this around to be a bad thing?
Right?
I get it. You don't like the guy, but and they were like throwing him like he's gonna take all the money. Like this guy doesn't care about the money anymore. He's already like well on his way to.
And you get the people like the politicians. He's giving non-government employees access to your social security numbers. It's like, these people were vetted to be able to do the system. How many contractors does the federal government work with that allows them to work with sensitive information? What a stupid argument.
Right.
It's just like, think a little bit about like what some of these politicians say. They just don't want the gravy train because they get a lot of campaign contributions from the same organizations they get their money from.
Sure.
And
Sure, and that's going to limit their contributions. And why would they bust that out?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And this is
Just
on
keep screwing
all
the
sides
taxpayer.
of politicians. You know, it's
Right.
not just one or the other. But it seems like there's a pretty consistent theme here.
There's a consistent theme there, but a lot of people get corrupted once they, a lot of times there's like the Mr. Smith goes to Washington, ready to do good things sometimes, and then once they get there, like, well, okay, now let me tell you how it operates around here, right?
Right.
And so,
Right, yeah, they get in there and they set them down and go, okay, you're going to listen to us.
This is how it
This
is.
is how we do it, There's going to be a little kickback in your pocket. I mean, and this is the thing that gets me about politicians, right? They go into office being broke as hell, and they come out of office like
Right.
Nancy Pelosi,
Right.
And it's like, this is wrong.
Right.
In all areas. How can her husband be the best trading guy ever?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. No freaking way. And if you think that's the case, then you'll go ahead and comment and tell me how that guy got that rich.
Right.
Tell me how Omar, and by the way, if you're looking on YouTube, there's what is her name?
Ilhan Omar?
Yeah, Ilhan Omar. She's talking about her husband's
Wine business?
winery, which isn't even a winery. It's just basically a way for them to steal.
Right.
Look
It's
that
a shell
up.
company.
It's a shell company. There's not even, find the bottle of wine. Find a
Right.
bottle of wine. It's not
Right.
even out there. Their best-selling bottle of wine, look it up. You can't even buy it. There's not one out there.
Right.
At what point do we need to figure out who the idiots
Where's
are?
the money coming from,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But, tell me, if you find something different, tell me.
Right?
I'm willing to be the idiot.
He's willing to open dialogue.
Yeah.
He's willing to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
well, good.
It's been a good show. I think,
wish you luck with your new plane here.
Yeah,
I
well-
can't wait to go for a cruise in it.
Well, I gotta get me trained first.
One of the big things with these pilots is that they go out they like to jump in the plane and go fly to some city, have lunch, and fly back. And there's an airport in
$100
Wisconsin
hamburger, which
that
is
has
now
a
$500 hamburger.
But gas is going back down, right? So the
Yeah.
gas prices have gone down for
But
cars.
not as much.
Not
on
as much for
airplanes.
planes.
Yeah.
But and the big thing just to kind of wrap things up, so you can buy like 87, 91, 92, 93 octane for cars. But what is it a plane? Is it like 100 or?
No, it's leaded. So
It's leaded. Is that the
yeah.
big difference? The
it's
same octane?
aviation fuel. I don't know what the octane is.
And these are for propellers. These
Yeah.
aren't for jets.
These aren't for jets.
Now, jets are like
fuel,
kerosene, aren't they?
No, jet fuel is diesel.
Oh, it is. I
Yeah.
thought it was kerosene.
Nope, it's diesel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's less refined. Yeah, but
That's why you get the
aviation is.
contrails?
I'm sorry, it's low lead. It's low lead 100.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I remember 100 being in it.
Yeah, low
But
lead 100.
does that mean 100 octane or is that something else?
I don't know. That's a great question. I think it does. I don't believe that's. Yeah, I'm not sure. We'd have to look.
You don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah, but it's low lead 100. Yep.
Okay.
Aviation.
Well, we'll be looking forward to hearing about your adventures.
Yeah. Well.
At 240 miles an hour.
Yeah, 240. It'll get me there a lot quicker
With the
than
right
the old
tailwind.
plane. Yeah. But hey, thanks for tuning in to Don't Be an Idiot. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Shopify, Spotify, and check us out on YouTube. Like and comment. I'm looking forward to it. Talk to you later. Thanks for Don't Be an Idiot.
Holy cow, it's 3:18.
Yep.
Wow.
We went
Did I
for a
need to be
while.
somewhere? No, I don't think I need.
Oh my God. Oh, it's still running.
Yeah. How long is it?
I don't know. We're gonna turn.